Greetings, looking for a funny movie? Here you go, Horrible Stories, the movie Rotten Romans. Be so kind as to subscribe and like it, as we're on our way to our goal of 5,000 subscribers. Thank you. Well, keep your eyes open and stay focused. Ancient Rome, the heart of civilization. The empire is ruled by Emperor Claudius, and a local soothsayer predicts from a dead chicken that Rome expects decay and ruin, but he believes that it has always been, and a passing-by woman is looking for her chicken. At the emperor's palace, it turns out that the emperor has been poisoned, and not by anyone, but by his beloved wife, who wishes him dead, but her husband did not die after mushroom poisoning but simply vomited, so she instructs the doctor to tickle his throat with this poisoned feather. The doctor is forced to make an order, after which her son Nero receives the cherished golden wreath. But as it turns out, his mother will rule until his majority, for the boy is only 13 years old. And just after these 5 years, Atti, a very well-read teenager, comes with his parents to the gladiatorial fights, where they take his scroll to get him into the spirit of war. The parents meet an old acquaintance, the son who is about to go into the army, and they buy him new sandals, which he of course flaunts, and Atti is pressured to head to a nearby shop. He found out the price of these fancy sandals and went in search of money. At this time, the pedestrian convinces the old man to buy a magic potion for his old age, arguing that he is 97 years old. The grandpa immediately uses the potion and throws the bottle away, and Atti picks it up and goes to the gladiator's dressing room to collect the liquid dripping from the man, but it was not enough, and luckily he notices a horse going to the toilet. It is the new emperor's birthday, so he receives envoys from neighboring countries, but an envoy from Britain brings him lead and the Emperor Nero does not appreciate it, so the envoy goes to the bazaar to find a really worthwhile gift. And he finds Atti, who sells him urine under the guise of a potion for 200 denarii, such is the price of new sandals. He comes at once to the arena and flaunts them to his parents, and the envoy of Britain gives the potion to the emperor, whom he is generally pleased with, but his mother hints that it is horse urine. So the envoy immediately accuses Atti, and the emperor summons them to his office and orders them to throw the envoy down a mountain in a barrel of spikes, and Atti should be sent to fight in Britain. And in this wondrous land, a girl named Orla dreams of becoming a Celtic warrior and trains with her sword on a carrot, but her father takes the sword away, for it is too soon for her to fight. His daughter refers to the view that the Romans are enemies. Her father in turn wishes for a strong alliance between their countries. At least they have beautiful, smooth roads. But the daughter notices that their builder obviously might not like it. The father offers to go to their neighbors, the Iceni, who are friends of Rome, and see their settlement with his own eyes. As soon as Orla sees that the girls are entrusted with swords so early, she immediately changes her mind about the Romans being mediocre. At the same second, the doctor comes out and informs them that their chief has passed away, and the tabellion, in those days considered a notary public, reads the chief's will. All of his property is given to Nero, for according to the emperor's new law, women are not included in the inheritance. So a wife named Boudicca promises revenge on the tabellion and puts on a show of song, after which the settlement goes on the chase. But the father stops Orla and changes his mind again to protect his daughter from possible injury. At this time Nero learns that there are rallies in Britain in which he may lose part of the Roman Empire. Those troops are led by Boudicca, whom he intends to get rid of. But his mother enters the room and goes on imperial tour. Nero objects that it is his tour and moreover the ship, but his mother leaves and wishes him good luck in the fight. Now Nero wants to get rid of his mother as well, for she is interfering with his rule. The emperor is about to come up with a plan. The servant immediately praises him, but the emperor objects that he hasn't even said anything yet and tells his plan. The servant praises him again. Atti finds himself in the marching formation, to whom the fleeing tabellion gives the order to destroy the Iceni, and the troops head for the settlement. At this time the Icenes recruit a road repairman for Boudicca's army. As the march moves through the forest, Atti's sandals come undone, so he stops and Orla appears and knocks him out and then leads him to the settlement to show his father what she can do, and his father, after much persuasion, allows him to keep it. In the hut he does not understand why it smells of feces, but Orla tells him that the walls are covered in manure. Atti is struck by their uncivilization and says that this is the main reason why the Romans came to Britain, but the girl knocks him over and wants to practice with her sword, but her father takes him away again. Orla returns to the prisoner and gets to know him. She lies to him that she has had so many prisoners so she will get a huge ransom for him, but Atti is only too happy because he will go home. Nero, meanwhile, is plotting in the tactical center, where not even his mother is allowed to enter, a plan by which they will overthrow Boudicca, but at that very second a messenger bursts in who reports Boudicca's success in attacking, so Nero shoots him with his bow and still completes his plan and sends an army to attack. Boudicca has already begun to rally entire settlements, but they have a scuffle because a woman from the Iceni settlement stole a shield from one of the men. Nero already imagines his mother drowning with the ship, so he starts a song about it, but his mother returns with the fish. The 9th Legion, Rome's deadliest unit, strides through Britannia. Boudicca appears from the bushes and praises his charge for his camouflage, but he replies that it's just a bush. The villagers set out to attack and the Romans quickly flee. Orla, meanwhile, asks Atti to write a letter with ransom demands, because she can't write herself, and she can't read either. She demands 30 coins, which an unarmed warrior will bring at midnight and take Atti. The boy writes word for word and gives it to Orla. Nero is informed of the defeat of the 9th Legion and is about to throw the table at the messenger, but he lacks the strength, and when the messenger withdraws he orders him back and with the help of his underlings drops a slab of marble on his toes. The Romans discuss Atti's disappearance and one of them receives a stone with a letter from Orla, but the troop thinks they are being attacked, so they quickly form into a shield and then grab the stone and read the letter. Atti asks them to attack the Celts faster because they are savages, but one soldier grabs the letter and burns it on a pyre because he is not going to go into battle for Atti's sake. As time passes, Orla tries to figure out how the sundial works. When the day is longer in summer and shorter in winter, generally according to her calculations his friends will not come for him. Under cover of night, the Brigantes sneak into the settlement and steal Granny, and at the same time get their shield back. In the morning, Orla's father discovers his grandmother and the Roman are missing, so he allows her to go in search of the prisoner. Atti did not jump far, so Orla catches up with him on foot and strikes again. He is going to help her find her grandmother and she agrees. At this time, Boudicca's army has already grown to 50,000, 50,001, 50,002, 50,003, 50,002. Boudicca thanks him for his service and offers to burn London. Nero was having dinner. His mother tells him that the ceiling collapsed on her during the night, as if someone did it on purpose. A man is stuffed, but he is encouraged to continue his meal by simply vomiting into a bucket, and a man nearby goes to relieve himself, but as it turns out, it was the custom here to relieve himself in a pitcher. Mother tells Nero that there is a ruler in Britain who can be asked for help to defeat Boudicca, so he sends a messenger to the commander-in-chief of Rome with a letter outlining the order to stop Boudicca with the help of the ruler of Britain. Atti asks Orla not to poke her with a sword, which she probably does not know how to sword, but the girl immediately shows her talents on the nearest apple. She talks about her dream of joining the army, where she will hang out, paint faces and of course fight, but Atti thinks this is punishment. Suddenly she hears the cries of the Boudicca troops and it turns out to be her performance where her fans beat the mark of 75,000. By the way, I hope you subscribe to the channel right now and support with your likes, because you and I will come to that mark too. Atti is tired of her dancing, so he's already asking her to continue on her way to save her grandmother. They find the Brigantes' camp, and Atti says he had a plan to escape from her before, but now he has nothing. But he notices poppy flower and remembers a recipe for a potion that only lacked a few ingredients. They made it and climbed a tree over the cauldron and Orla poured the potion. The Brigantes ate the soup with gusto, but Atti happened to be allergic to the tree so he sneezed and fell down with her. But by then all the Brigantes were already asleep sweetly. Orla went to her grandmother, and Atti proceeded to assemble some kind of mechanism. It turns out to be a ballista, on which they put a soldier and use it to break down the bars. But the hungry granny pounces on a bowl of soup and passes out, and as if by chance all the Brigantes start waking up. Guys quickly throw Nana into the cart and try to get the horse to move, and when he does, Atti flies off the cart and tries to catch up because Orla doesn't know how to brake, but when he does jump in he practically gets an axe in the groin. The Roman troops have arrived at London, which is already in flames, so the troops gather to search for Boudicca. Atti and Orla are caught in a traffic jam, as immediately a makeshift news reporter appears in a tree and tells of the traffic jam due to the Celts wanting to join Boudicca's rebellion, yes, wanting so much that a fight ensues between the men in the crowd. A letter is slipped under the door of the Emperor Nero. It turns out to be a messenger, who immediately ran to hide in the toilet, but the Emperor found him and asked what he had in his hand and he said he wanted to wipe himself, which shocked the people because they didn't know that there was toilet paper and they used a common toilet brush. The Emperor asks for a letter and puts his head down. The letter writes about London being burned, so he is sick of putting up with it and goes to ask the statue of the past ruler for advice. The monument of whom answered him what he should do, namely not to take the Celts by force, but to devise a tempting plan that would trap the Celts, and to give his mother whatever she asks. But then he realizes that she was talking through a jug. When our heroes return home with their grandmother, the Celts still do not consider Atti a savior and go to present him to the gods by drowning him in the swamp. But along comes Orla, who is going to kill him herself, but but it turns out to be a plan to get him to escape, and throwing someone into the swamp was still necessary. Attorney returns to his unit, but one of the soldiers immediately declares that he is a deserter and the captain orders him tied up for future torture. Attorney begins to sing from sadness and is stopped by the captain because it is hard for him to hold back his own tears, for he already misses Rome so much. The father does not understand where Orla has disappeared, and the grandmother tells him that she has gone to Boudicca, so they go to the woman to get his daughter. Attorney, meanwhile, offers the commander-in-chief a plan of action by which they will defeat the Celts, but first he must be freed. In the tent he tells of his perfect plan, to lure the Celts into a narrow corridor to form a jam and surround them. The commander-in-chief does not think his plan is genius, but recognizes it as the most ingenious, so he releases him from torture. But he is told at the scene of future action that all the Celtics will be killed, and Attorney tells the plan thinking that all the enemies will be captured. After a while the suspense reaches a climax as more and more people gather. The reporter is amazed that people do not retreat even when they have terrible toilets, but then stays Boudicca. She is not the least bit afraid because she has an army of 100,000, while Rome in turn counts only a pathetic 10,000. And the hint to remove the wagons in case of retreat, she skips over her ears. Her father finds Orla in the crowd of privates and she is happy to go to war, but then she changes her mind and asks her father to escort her. But the battle will not yet take place, for the two sides have decided to have a dance battle to the songs. But it's time for a real battle, during which Attorney meets Orla and they are about to escape, but first they save Boudicca from the Roman and she gives her a hairpin in gratitude and asks her to remain as a heroine. But a villager calls her from the mountain. Her father has been wounded by someone, but Attorney manages to help with the first means at hand, not as the Celtics usually treat, with a dog that will simply lick the sick man. Attorney confesses that it was he who told the Romans how to lure the Celts, but Orla forgives him because he saves his father, who by the way is already awake, and thanked the guys for saving him and finally let Orla have her own sword. But she will not need it anymore. Oh, she hit someone, so she will not need a sword, because she no longer wants to fight because it is stupid. The Romans are victorious, so the commander is given 10 acres of land. He already dreams of Rome, but as it turns out the acres are in England, so he goes off in tears, and Atti is rewarded with lands in Rome because of his clever tactics. But Atti does the noble deed and gives his lands to the commander-in-chief, who heads for Rome in a hurry, while Atti himself wishes to remain here. When the great general returns to Nero, the latter immediately commands the historian to record as if he had heroically defeated Boudicca, and shows his new invention in the form of sunglasses in which he can see nothing. Even as he walks out into the audience falling at their feet, he asks the historian not to write it down. Atti's parents receive a letter describing his life in Britain, and a little later they decide to visit him themselves. His father walks around the village marveling at the beauties Attorney has invented, and when they walk into a bar they begin another merry dance. When they are left alone, Orla told when she becomes ruler, the Romans will get their asses kicked. Now think for yourself whether she was kidding or not. Support my channel with likes and comments, and do not forget about the bell, because with it you will be the first to know about new videos. Thank you very much for watching, and as always do not say goodbye.